Here are the tools that you'll need. Pair of nippers, or even some nice sharp scissors would work. A fine line Sharpie or any magic marker that's sort of fine. The normal Sharpie's a little bit too fat. Any type of small pliers you might have. Excuse me. And you'll need a small screwdriver. You don't need a really good screwdriver if you have something that you use for glasses or like that. Or you could go to like a dollar store and they have these, they call them precision screwdrivers, like for $1 you get a whole set of them. That's what you need. And you also need something to, we're going to use this here. You need something to hold these little blocks so you can take the screws out. Something to hold them still. The problem is the springs are really delicate, and to take these screws out, if you try to hold it with a pair of pliers or something like that, you can slip and then break your spring. If you break a spring, we can just send you another one. That's not a big problem. But if you have something to hold it nice and still, why? Because what we're going to do eventually is we're going to take our small screwdriver and we're going to loosen these little teeny screws. Here is a shots similar to yours, and they're all different, and every clock is different how this top thing is. Now what we don't want to do, if you can help it, is to disturb this cylinder here, right here, and we don't want to mess with this screw at the top. If yours looks like this, I hope it does. So we don't want to turn that. Here's a screw to the side, and it's made to turn just with your fingers, but sometimes they get tight, or we may have tightened yours so that it would get there okay and not get loose in shipping. Let me see if I can get this camera right. So we're going to take this screw out. There it comes out, and now the spring assembly comes out like this. I'm going to put it back where it was so we don't lose it. See if you can see it. And when you put it back in, just put it in thumb finger tight. Don't tighten it with your pliers. I'm just going to put it back in so I don't lose it. Okay. going to pretend just for the video that this is the original one that we took out of your clock. It'll look sort of like this. Now what we want to do is take our Sharpie here and you want to mark the old spring right where it goes in the block. Put your little black mark there. Put your little teeny black mark right here at where the fork is. Top and bottom. And a little mark at the top block. Now, however you're going to hold it, we're going to use the little vise, or even a big giant vise would do it. I'll show you on our bigger vise. So if you got any kind of vise at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do, now what your best bet, see these blocks have a top and a bottom to them. If you can just hold the bottom, that's like perfect. Then the top will be nice and loose. This is like the hardest part, is getting it in the vise. Then take your screwdriver and loosen the screw. Here's one loose, and here's the other loose. Then you just slide the spring out. Don't take the little screws out because they're really teeny and you could lose them easy. Be crawling around on the floor. If you do drop one, you might want to put something underneath your work area, like a sheet or a newspaper or something, so in case you do drop one. And then you can always look for them with a magnet too, and help you find it. Hopefully you don't drop one. Now we'll turn that screw. We don't take it out, we just loosen it. And then that comes off of that. And then we go to the top one. Let me do the top one with a lot bigger vise so you can see that that'll work too. We take the screw, loosen our little screws, loosen them maybe like a half a turn should be enough, and then the spring just falls out. So anything in the world you can find to hold it still, or a little pair of vise grips if you don't have any vise. Just something that'll hold it nice and tight, so when you take the screws loose, that they don't that the block don't fall out. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our old spring, set it next to our new spring, line it up at the bottom. This one's all curly-cued and stuff. I hope yours isn't. It's hard to work with when it's all bent up. Just using some scrap parts I had laying around to show you this. Now what we're going to do, line it up at the bottom, and we're just going to transfer our little black marks hard to do with this thing all bent up. Anyhow, transfer your black marks. I'm running out of ink here. There we go. Now you just reverse the process. Oh, forgot to mention you have to put an extra black mark for the total length of your old spring. Because that's what we're going to do now, is we're going to cut it. So transfer all your black marks to the other one, and then at the very end of the old spring, put an extra black mark. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take our little nippers and we're going to cut it at the last black mark. And you might want to check if they're both the same or not. Now you just reverse the process. Here's the bottom block. Try to grab just that bottom piece. And then slide it in. Just go right up to your black mark. And tighten her up. There you go. Don't matter what order you do these. Just put the pieces back on. You don't have to horse these little screws in. Oop, now see, there's exactly what I was talking about. If you don't secure it good and you press a little too hard with your screwdriver, right there, that'll happen. And what you can do easily is bend the spring, which I did. That's a good example of what not to do. I didn't tighten it up enough. So now it's crooked. Straighten it back. Just nice and snug. Don't have to be really tight. And do the same thing. You can do it either side like that. Your fork might have 2 screws. Some of them have 2 screws and some have 1. Just go put your black marks right there. Tighten it back. Now all we got to do is put the assembly back in. And a little screw that's hopefully not lost. This block here don't fit that clock, so I just put the one that's right for it. Now this one, see, your fork might look like this with 2 screws. So then you have to loosen 2, and you just don't take them out, just loosen them good and then slide it in and tighten 2. Put the fork, make sure the fork surrounds the post. Just put it in finger tight, don't have to be real super tight. Show you what I mean by. See, be sure that that post coming up, you know, the fork surrounds it. And then hang your pendulum back and you should be ready to go. Here's the actual one we made, but it don't really fit this clock. It's for a different clock. And this one, of course, needs a bottom block. The spring broke on this one, so I have to do the same thing again, except I can't measure the spring. I have to look it up in the book. If anything goes wrong, don't worry about it. Just send us the pieces and we'll fix it for you.